about to leave. Already packing, come with me. I'm not.
Hello friends and enemies, I'm here to talk about my least favorite, most disappointing books of 2020. So, any of these books that I don't like are not a reflection of you or your reading taste if you loved them. They just didn't work for me, they disappointed me, etc. It is a combined list because I literally could not decide which was disappointing and least favorite, any difference between the two, because the list would have been the same. So it's not a big list. I do think I read a lot of really good books this year for the most part, and I read a lot of things that well, were instead on my wildest books of the year list instead of least disappointing or least disappointing, most disappointing or least favorites. So this is definitely like a trimmed down list. Are you ready? Are you ready for the first one? It's gonna be no surprise, it was my Twilight reread and Midnight Sun. I think I'm gonna see this on a lot of people I know's least favorites. I know I've already seen it on one person's. What's up, Ashley? I enjoyed my bonding experience through a distaste for revisiting this series with Bethany and Ashley and Michelle over at Thor Wants Another Letter, because yeah, y'all, this was not good. Not good at all. It was painful to revisit. It was torturous in a lot of ways, and it was so much worse than I remembered. And I mean, look, I cut my teeth on Twilight to an extent to enter romance, okay? Like, that is some of where I came up through romance. You know, Twilight fanfiction, video coming soon, is some of why I'm a romance reader now. But like, those were good. This was not good. Do I appreciate what it has done for us as a reading community? Absolutely. Do I think anyone should read these books? Absolutely not. Just go read the fan fiction that's been like published instead. But Midnight Sun, it was just a mess. Like, it contradicted so many things that were said in the books. It tried to like rewrite what was already written. It honestly was just unnecessary. I know like some of the pages got published and like it was so exciting that it was announced. I was like kind of excited, but then like as I started the journey, I was like, what am I doing to myself? Also, this was such a good reflection on like good audiobook narration that we have now versus like what we had back then. And yeah, no. I am so happy to be done with that series. I told Bethany, I said, I adore you, but I'm not reading the rest of the books if they come out. And she agreed. But you know, I just think it's hard. It's hard to see things that you loved, that you adored as a kid. And I live, y'all, I live for Twilight TikTok that are like hilarious. I love them. Like, I just got sent one the other day by my friend where like they're snakes. I'll put it in here for a minute for you. And like Edward's walking away and his whole body is just, oh, it's so good. And I live for like TikToks of people like, this is how Emmett is, because Emmett's my favorite. But like, for real. Well, do I still one day want to go stay in the Twilight house? Yes. But again, no. These books are no. Absolutely not. I think I like had a blast revisiting them to an extent because it was fun to roast former me who loved them and used to listen to the audiobooks on repeat and all kinds of things. Also got yelled at by a lady at a anime convention for having on a vampire shirt because she just immediately assumed it was like for Twilight, and I was like, no, I just like vampires. Go away. Look at me. Of course I like vampires. I'm freaking the ghost out here. All right. Another really, really disappointing book for me was You Deserve Each Other by Sarah Hogle. I should have walked away. I should have never picked this book up, y'all. The minute I saw it compared to The Hating Game, which I also don't like, I should have walked away. It is full of miscommunication, and I hate that kind of miscommunication. The kind of miscommunication where you're engaged and you're not talking is a problem for me. Why are you getting married in the first place? Why are you even together if you're not going to communicate? Again, early stage miscommunication, totally fine. But when you're like months out from your wedding, what's going on? Like, I don't understand. Do I get why people loved it? Absolutely. It is a bonkers book. Look, I liked it enough that, like, I like Sarah Hogel's writing. I think she's a really good writer. And I do want to read her next book. And I'm hoping I like it. It's kind of, oh, I left a book on this list, y'all. Okay, anyways, yeah. So it honestly, I get it. I do. It just didn't work for me at the end of the day. The kind of miscommunication we had happening was just, what is my hair doing? Okay. Anyways, it was just not it for me. It was not it. And that's okay. I think the hating game comparison is apt, and I think it makes sense. And I hope to find a Sally Thorne book I like, to be honest with you. But we'll see. Next, we have Wildest Dreams by Kirsten Ashley, who is a all-time favorite author for me. I love rock chicks. Look, I don't know that they hold up. I do need to revisit that series, but I am saying I do love it a lot. But this was like her fantasy romance attempt. There was like weird time travel. It didn't make sense. This was so bad, and it was like 20-hour audiobook, and why? I need Kirsten Ashley to stick to contemporaries, and that's it. But yeah, I was super disappointed in this. It was so boring. I actually have 2 books that I left off the list and I just remembered, so hold on. I hate that I'm putting this on my list, but Diana Quincy's Her Night with the Duke was very disappointing. Everyone had hyped this up so much, y'all. I thought I was gonna love it. It sounded right up my alley, like, not really older woman, but she's a widow, and you know, she accidentally hooks up with someone who's gonna propose to her stepdaughter, who's like very close in age, and I wanted to love it so much. And I know I gave it 3 stars, but it still was so disappointing that I think it has to be on this list, because I was just so sad that I didn't love it. And I wanted to love it so bad. The way everyone talked about it, it just didn't match the book I read at the end of the day. Like, the book I read here sounded nothing like what everyone else was talking about. You know, nobody mentioned this like creepy stepson situation, and you know, a lot of, again, lack of communication around anything, and just instead fumbling around, being real silly was what we got. And I was just so disappointed. I wish I loved this. This literally had the makings of everything I love in the description, and yet here we are. I did not. And it was so disappointing. And on the same note of another overhyped book for me that did not work, that a lot of people really liked, I put off reading it because I was just not sure, but Beach Read by Emily Henry, this one, I've unhauled it already. I was so excited. I had an arc of this, everybody loved it, I was so ready to dive in, and then I read it and I was mad. Like, I really liked the hero, I liked Gus a lot, but January, right? Isn't that her name? I think that was her name. She was like the most hating of the genre she writes. And it just didn't fit in my brain. Like, do you really write romance if you're sitting here like crapping all over romance? And then I'm like, why is this author who's writing a romance crapping on romance in her book through her main character? What? Like, Emily, do you not read romance? Why are you writing this if you don't read romance? And maybe, I don't know, maybe she does, maybe she doesn't. Maybe it was, you know, misconstrued in some capacity. It just didn't work for me. The book was so much grief that you don't expect, because it's called freaking Beach Read. And luckily I did have some warnings about that, but I'm just saying, don't call your book Beach Read and then explore the topic of grief and like marriages falling apart. But yeah, it just was not it for me. So yeah, I was very disappointed in Beach Read again. I think I gave it 3 stars. I don't think it was badly written. I do want to read her next book, so I will give her another try, which she'll obviously come up when I do a video about authors I'll try again. But yeah, it just didn't work. Didn't work for me. All right, and then the last book I have to talk about is one that I hate. I hate that I didn't like it. I hate that I didn't like it so freaking much. And that is A Madness of Sunshine by Nalini Singh. I have really liked pretty much everything I've read by Nalini Singh, and everyone I know loves her, but this book, this debut thriller, was not very thrilling, and honestly was boring, and I was falling asleep reading it. It's one of the first books I read at the beginning of the year, and I barely remember it. All I remember is being bored, and it's a thriller. So like, that's not good. That's not good. So yeah, this was really disappointing because I really like Nalini as an author, and I just felt like I didn't see her in the writing at all in this. So that's a thing. That's a thing that happened. Yeah, those are my least favorite / most disappointing books of 2020. It was such a weird reading year. So I hope you enjoyed. Drop a, like, the side-eye emoji. I'll throw it up here on the screen for you. You know what I'm talking about? Like, give me that one in the comments. Or let me know one of your most disappointing books, or if you disagree with me, like, tell me why you loved a book I really didn't enjoy, and I'll tell you you're wrong. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. You're literally, like, y'all, it's all personal opinion. Everyone's valid. You can find links to all of my social medias in that description box down there. Be sure to hit the subscribe button if you're new here for more romance content 3 times a week. You also will find links to my Instagram, Goodreads, and Twitter down there, which is where I hang out on social the most. But the other place you can find me is the Romance YouTuber Discord, where I talk about romance and a bunch of other stuff with a bunch of my friends who are also romance YouTubers and viewers of Romancetube / fans of romance. You can also find the Immortals After Dark readathon link down there as well. So come join us for that. It kicks off in January. We're reading 3 books a month. Come hang. Bye, y'all.
Really asking, we'll get away to a place where we don't know.